worked with last week. Nice to see you again. And for the others, I'm honored to be part of this program. For those I didn't get to meet last week, just wanted to introduce myself. I am a professional facilitator. I am based in Taftsville, Vermont, which is part of the village of Woodstock. I'm a sixth generation Vermonter, and now my work takes me all over the country and the world doing community engagement just like this. I work with national parks in particular, and national forests and national trails. Iditarod Trail and the Appalachian Trail in particular, trying to connect people to landscapes and communities to public lands. I also train people in community engagement techniques in a lot of countries, particularly in Central and Eastern Europe. I'm a huge believer in the power of a small group of citizens to accomplish almost anything in a community, and I'm really excited about the work that you guys are doing here in Vergennes. The goal of this series of 2 Vergennes community conversations is to have a positive, facilitated meeting, a different sort of conversation. The planning team worked to create an opportunity for Vergennes residents to define the topics that we'll be discussing so that we could generate community-based conversations from the bottom up. The topics are designed by you, the meetings are facilitated by you, and we end up with conversations that go in the directions that you're interested in going. We hope to create and model new ways to talk together, new ways to create connection and build mutual respect, and an opportunity to brainstorm what real change in the ways that the community converses might look like, and see what changes might come about as a result. So this evening we're hoping to build on the opportunity that we started last week, offering Vergennes residents a chance to decide what you care about in your city, to identify positive action steps that will improve the civic life of your community, and to set them in motion. And I cannot go overboard in expressing my gratitude to you for being here tonight. I know you've had a lot of community meetings in Vergennes, and I am so optimistic when I see this many people coming together to have yet another one, and I hope a really positive one. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn the program right now over to Susan Clark, who I introduced last week, who's going to share some of the results in conversation from last week.
Delia?
Yes.
Delia?
Yep.
Delia, hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Hey, I don't know that I'm going to be able to stay for the whole meeting. Can I address the crowd here for a second?
I'm going to say no to that, Matt, just because we want to hear Susan's summary of what happened last time. So I'm going to go with the no for now, but there'll definitely be a chance to participate later in the small groups. Thanks.
Okay. Delia.
Great. Thank you. And yeah, my name's Susan Clark. For those who haven't met me, I'm helping out with the facilitation as well. I live in Middlesex, and I'm also a facilitation trainer. And I've written a couple of books about local democracy. I think we wanted to start dealing with the slide of the word cloud, if you have it. And some of you got a chance to see this last time. It was in response to the question of what we love about Vergennes. And wow, was I ever, both Delia and I were like, let's move to Vergennes. Beautiful, beautiful themes here about the lake, the school, the downtown, strong resonance about people really appreciating their neighbors or neighborhoods. And you can see the variety of different, people talking about ice cream and dogs and chocolate. But certainly there are real patterns here that and they resonate in the second question that we dealt with. So we have some slides on the question that we dealt with in small groups as well that we can go to.
Great.
And that one. Sorry, what?
Oh, I said great, and I was just going to pop that up, and then
There's my tech
run through a few questions that I will do after. There we go. Sorry, we'll be getting to those in a minute. I get a little bit thrown. Okay, there we go. Question 1.
Question 1. What is currently working well in our conversations and public engagement? And this was one that we all dealt with in small groups. So I just want to stress that these were the themes that emerged. This wasn't a consensus process. We didn't all, agree on these. What happened was that people brainstormed them out. The small group facilitators recorded them, and we kind of looked and we squinted our eyes at what we saw and looked for the patterns. And here are some of the patterns that emerged. The first one, not a surprise, your local economy, downtown, and walkability. And somebody literally mentioned Richard Scarry, so I felt like we had to put the image there of the Richard Scarry book. The scale is small, but the action is busy. Library, pool, restaurants, opera house, churches, stores, schools, they've all been outstanding locations for conversations. So that's the civic infrastructure is really strong in Vergennes. On the next slide, just very straightforward, lots of comments, positive comments about the schools. The next one was really sort of a theme about energy and engagement, and in particular right now, the level of engagement, no shortage of volunteers, 14 people running for office. Now is a time when people are engaged, so how can we build on that? Was one of the questions people came out with. But on a similar theme to that, the next one, healthy disagreement. Lots of, people were saying that they were happy when it could be constructive and respectful, and that it does certainly exist. So that was a sort of a parallel theme. And I think the next one is related as well. You'll see there are threads here woven into a tapestry. Pride in local government's history and its potential. So many people mentioned that in contrast to leadership in DC, our leadership in Vermont, doesn't have so much party line rancor, and it's more about simply leading and the desire to do the right thing in the community. So that was another strong one. Yeah.
Susan, can I ask a question really quickly? I'm sure that you're drawing that conclusion based on something, but do you intend to tell the group that you're using the Delphi technique in this meeting? I'd like to talk to a little bit about that. The Delphi technique is something everyone needs to know about.
I don't know what the Delphi technique is, so I don't think we're using it in the meeting. But I'm gonna let Susan finish her presentation right now. So Susan, why don't you keep going on that?
Okay. Yeah. Just two more.
I'm sorry, this is kind of important. If this is an open meeting, the people participating need to know this.
Matt, I'm not feeling comfortable. I feel like you're interrupting our opening, so we're gonna not do that because we want to hear.
This is a disingenuous meeting, and you need to be truthful.
It's not actually. What we're going to be doing is having everybody else share in a minute, but we want to. This is part 2 of a 2-part meeting, and the first part we gathered a lot of information, and now we're sharing that so that we can have the second part. So this isn't the
people off into smaller groups so that not one person is able to address the entire group. And so you guys appear to be steering this meeting towards a predetermined set of conclusions, and you appear to be controlling Matt's ability to talk to everybody in a community meeting.
Okay, well thanks a lot, Etienne. I really appreciate that. I'll just say that our goals in the meeting are very much to not make predetermined conclusions. It's more about making sure that the tone stays really positive.
Delia, I think I can do this. It might take 2 minutes, maybe.
1 minute.
I can do this if you'll let me.
I want to make sure there's plenty of time for the small groups to have a chance to talk. I'm timing you. Go.
Everyone? Okay. My email address is matt, M-A-T-T, at trive.news. That's TRIVE.news. And if they cut me off or kick me out again, you email me, MATT, at trive.news, and I will get you guys started on this, okay? As this begins, everyone needs to know it's the Delphi technique. The technique was developed by the RAND Corporation. It is used to covertly manipulate groups to believe they've organically reached a consensus on a predetermined objectives of the organizers. This is not an honest, open forum as you're told. It's a psychological operation being conducted on you. It is only fair that you know this going in. If I'm interrupted, please email. I will answer any questions you have on Delphi. I encourage you to look at it yourself before you proceed with this group. You can find it easily by searching Delphi Technique Group Manipulation. It is not the first time I've run into Delphi. I've worked with the Forest Service in my business in Alaska. I understand this very clearly. However, this is the most shocking example I've ever been a part of. They're using it on people they live with, their own neighbors. If you would still choose to participate in the activities driven by the people behind, ironically,
thanks a lot.
Vergennes Forum,
here, I'm going to
know that the language.
Thanks a lot. I will
finish. Let him finish.
Yeah, wonderful. Great job.
I think you're
Let me finish, please.
That's really important information for the group to know, and you're essentially trying to cut him off.
Can he host his own meeting for anybody who wants to learn more about the Delphi technique?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think if you want,
you can have your own meeting. You can have your own meeting, but you're cheating people in the meeting. You're manipulating people in the meeting.
People to speak openly, and I feel I think if
just let people make up their own minds. Let them make up their own minds.
You want to organize.
You're manipulating people. You're a professional manipulator.
This one absolutely is aimed at trying to have a conversation of a positive tone that leads to outcomes that
look,
people,
I'm not being unreasonable. You're being unreasonable. People want to know the truth about this.
Share that it, for me,
look, you do this for a living. When you lied when you said you did not know what Delphi is, you lied. You lied. You lied.
What I do, I have a
you don't know what Delphi is? You don't know what Delphi is as a professional facilitator? You don't know?
People don't.
You don't know? You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a paid shill. I'm sorry.
So what
look, just let people make up their own mind. These are my people. I live here. This is my family.
Agreements that we went through last time so that we can use those again this time. And then we're going to...
Delia, will you let me speak to that, please?
And I'm really concerned that we're not going to have enough time for everyone else to talk. So
no,
I'm going to go with no on that.
I think you...
Everybody who's left here sent off, or are we? Yeah. Okay.
I think Dave, Matt. Oh, nope. Sorry.
That's so interesting. I've never heard of the Delphi technique.
Am I supposed to do something? Oh, there it is. Okay, never mind. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Delia and
Yes.
let's see, Etienne is here and Matt is here.
So maybe we can just have a conversation here in the main room. Why don't
Actually, Delia, maybe we should break up Etienne. Break up this group. It seems to be people that lean a certain political direction, from what I can see. Maybe we should all be in the individual groups.
Whatever seems good. I don't know everybody's political direction, so. But why don't we? Does it make sense, Sarah, for this to be a group here in the main room?
I think you should put everybody into the main group, and it should be everybody in one room. If you're not trying to facilitate this conversation and exclude certain viewpoints, then let's get everybody into the main group.
Well, we're not trying to exclude viewpoints at all, but we're just trying to give people a chance to talk. So there are a lot of people here tonight. So they're all in small groups with and we.
Well, Delia, I can see the first evidence when Sheila was in the group with us. I had actually very great conversation, but it was a get to know you, understand the people. And one of the main things I brought up in the group was undisclosed conflicts of interest. And I noticed how that didn't make it to the overview. Richard Scarry made it to the overview, but not undisclosed conflicts of interest, which the town is becoming rampant with. So that's just an example of how Delphi works. Now, maybe you weren't told the name of it when you went to college, but that's exactly what this is.
Actually.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm quite calm and I'm very skilled in this stuff. I've spent 28 years working in land use in Alaska, and I recognize what I recognize. There's nothing.
Matt,
I owned a helicopter skiing business in Alaska.
That's okay.
And I dealt with a lot. I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering if you know.
I was answering Delia. Sorry, go ahead.
You think it's undisclosed?
Well, I don't want to talk about it at this point because there's ongoing investigations, but I know there's some conflicts of interest that are not being disclosed, not only in this meeting, but in other meetings, the big one being this nature of the paid facilitation using Delphi.
Literally all around the country, including a lot in Alaska, actually. And when people bring me in, they're looking for someone who doesn't have a pony in the race, who can just sort of help to have an even conversation where everybody gets to express their views.
Delia, if you're getting paid by somebody, that's the nature of a pony in the race.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure you don't. It's okay. But I've participated in mainly assessments, the 10-year inventory of the lands. I dealt with 22 state and federal agencies at any given time with my business up there, and I understand exactly what's happening and the challenge through public lands and the various
don't
uses.
Need to do introductions because you guys all know each other. Lynn and Rena and Matt and Etienne, are you guys?
Lynn's the mayor, and she's here in a listening capacity, I think.
Well, it seems...
Lynn, you're welcome to correct me, Lynn, if I'm wrong.
It seems the coincidence of the people who encouraged my statement to be completed, which would have taken another minute or two, are the ones in this room isolated from the rest of the groups.
I am here and listening.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot, Lynn. Nice to meet you. I'm Delia.
You don't want to hear that either.
Well, part of this, Lynn, this is important. Part of the Delphi process is to circumvent the public process of elected officials.
So, what action ideas do you have for how things that are working well in Vergennes at this time might be leveraged to address the areas where you'd like to see change? Because it sounds as though.
Delia, I don't think we can move forward in this atmosphere. It's a disingenuous group. And until the full group knows, if they want to participate, that's great. But they need full disclosure from you. Okay?
Into an echo chamber group. This is exactly what the Delphi technique is. You've moved all the people that are critical into a group where the rest of the group can't hear them. You're trying to control their perception by limiting the information that they're able to receive in a community forum.
So I hear your concern is that by putting you guys in this group, you're not
I
sharing
can
ideas in the other groups. I think
the classic Delphi playbook. You're running the Delphi.
Etienne, I invited you, Rena and Etienne, I invited you all to join.
I can bring in professionals.
5. So you're welcome to accept the invitation and join those conversations.
then you would be in a small group. Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I think we just want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to talk. So if you say accept, then you'll be out there with whoever.
Well, if you guys would like to do a separate meeting, Sarah and Dahlia, I can arrange several professionals to speak on this subject for you. One very famous one is Rosa Corey. Have you ever heard of Rosa? Corey with a K, K-O-I-R-E. Rosa is a post-sustainability foundation, I believe, and she wrote a book, Behind the Green Mask. Very, very knowledgeable woman who speaks directly about this. Actually worked on the other side of this,
Great.
doing the things you do,
and
now she is actually advocating and explaining this to people.
Like to be in small groups? Well, because I think it sounds like you did get issued an invitation. I think you just have to click it, and then you'll be in the small group. Were they both going to be in group 5, or they were in 2 different?
Like I said, the problem with the small group is you in doing the Delphi playbook, you've maneuvered people into different groups where no one individual can address the entire body.
That's,
to
yeah.
Somebody from explaining to the entire group the techniques, these unethically manipulative techniques that you're using to control public discourse.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you're absolutely entitled to your...
Many groups. Mm-hmm. It's a way of ensuring that people that understand what's going on aren't allowed to explain it to others who aren't in on your little game.
Mm-hmm. So I
ask you?
Oh, go ahead. Sure.
Well, I'm just wondering if you had a chance to set the agenda, what would be on that agenda?
Well, I wouldn't be using unethically manipulative techniques like the Delphi technique on my friends and my neighbors. That's one thing.
I mean, I think the question is, how do you think conversations should be happening in Vergennes?
Okay, so, well, here's the thing. Do you want to sit down at a rigged poker table? And I think everybody has the opportunity to know that before they sit down. If one of their friends and neighbors knows, you should point it out before they lose their savings. That's all I'm trying to do.
Is more people get a chance to speak. And these are randomly chosen small groups. They're generated by not in any way. And it gives people everybody a chance to kind of speak out loud, listen to one another.
Okay.
I think that when you've got 60 or whatever number of people we have all together, if only one person speaks, then maybe over the course of the evening, only a couple people get to speak. So we asked for volunteers.
How do you choose the facilitators for each group?
Not at all.
Okay.
No,
and those people are part of your organization or part of the founding of this? Okay, now what you said about the comments, when those comments come back to the larger group, they are all filtered through these people. Last week it was 13 individuals that broke out into groups, and at the end of the meeting, you said there was house cleaning, but we were all kicked out and couldn't hear the comments and deliberations of the 13 people, bringing them back to the group, and now we get a nice clean report at this meeting, and that is a big red flag of Delphi.
So it was pretty much straight up housekeeping. I think I hear your point. You feel that when you put people in small groups, you take away the ability of one person to address the whole group.
No, I don't feel this. This is a program developed by the RAND Corporation during the Cold War. This is a tactic.
You have your opinion.
I don't feel this way. I didn't make it up. You can look it up. It's very easy to find.
I'd like to defend the idea of positive community conversation when people come together and get a chance to speak, uninterrupted with their views.
This is not positive community communication. That is a misnomer. This is a rigged game, and you want people to sit at the table, and it's not fair.
Critics into one small group. This is proof positive of what you're doing.
if I could just point out that ATN and Rena, anyway, you guys were offered to go into the other groups and you didn't. So, and I think maybe, was everybody, Sarah? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's put us in other groups right now. All three of us in separate directions. I think we know what we can. I'm happy to go talk to a small group right this minute.
I'd like kind of a commitment for you guys that you're going to use the group norms that we've all accepted. So that means not kind of dominating and kind of bombing the meeting, but more just being there in kind of a listening mode, open-minded, let other people speak, hear what they have to say. I don't feel a lot of trust that that's the intent you guys are bringing to those small groups. I feel like
Well, if people don't want to hear what I have to say, then I'll be happy to not say it. But if it's the facilitator that stops me, that's a bad sign, and that's exactly what will happen because that's how Delphi works. But I'll go there. Look, I've done this a million times. I have dealt with lawsuits. I understand this game. You're talking to the wrong people about trying to convince me otherwise. I want to talk to my people, the people that live in my hometown where I grew up, and I want to protect them from people like you.
So Matt, I think you should. I think maybe
for 5 minutes.
The right meeting for you. I think we're trying to do one thing and you want to do another thing. So I so encourage.
Delia, why do you get to decide? Delia, why do you?
I want you to not lie to my friends and neighbors. That's what I want. Hey, give me 2 minutes.
We don't. We just started this meeting.
Decisions for people.
We didn't. Anybody can call a meeting. We just called a meeting. This is just a group of people who thought, oh, let's have a meeting. You could do that tomorrow. And
So Delia and Sarah, I want you to know as well, even though this is a one-party state, I am recording this, and this will be public.
Yeah, I haven't said anything that I don't agree with myself about. So.
Okay, great.
I have not.
So for the record, will you say you've never heard of the Delphi technique before? Never in all your years.
Regarded. So that's not something I'm familiar with. I really am a huge believer in civic engagement, community engagement, and pulling people together and creating space. Yeah, I don't.
Those are mealy mouth terms. I'm sorry, but I'm ready to go into a small group. I'm wasting my time here.
Because
I have a responsibility to my neighbors that I see.
Why is it your place to trust me talking with other people?
Hopefully, try and perhaps.
Sarah, you get to decide what your neighbors.
How about tell them the truth?
Is that what you're saying?
That's all I want to do. Tell them the truth.
Themselves, so I'm not telling them anything. This is an opt-in meeting, so people decided to come based on the invitation that we extended. That is not correct. I am a professor of political science.
Sarah, you're a professor in public policy at Middlebury College. Is that correct?
You have said on your blog that I am the chair of the department.
Okay, sorry for the correction.
He gave you a raise.
He did. I got a promotion.
So.
Well,
what do you?
We'll ask Ms. Buska to please forgive us for that mistake.
And what would you, who might you invite, and what would you like to have it be about?
I'd like to go into one of the other groups if it's okay.
Yeah, I'm not feeling comfortable about that now, Sarah. I'm going to say no to that. Because I think that I feel like what you guys are here to do is disrupt the meeting we're trying to have, and I think that a better plan would be for you to just go have your own meeting, which is cool. Everybody, it's a democracy. Anybody can have a meeting. So.
Yeah, you're not being open. You're running.
You need to tell the truth to our neighbors. You need to tell the truth about this. This is not this. You're not being honest.
Explaining the game you're running on them. You're running game on your neighbors, and somebody shows up and is trying to explain the game you're running, and you're not going to let them explain it.
It just breaks my heart that you feel this way. I feel so sad.
Yeah. I feel
I
like
don't let anybody get cheated.
you're the one doing it. You're controlling the information that other
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but you know
Well,
what? Yeah.
I'd say we're controlling nothing except
all
at
the
this point.
information other people receive.
The way I would frame it is I'm not controlling the information. I'm trying to create a protected space for them to have an open conversation. That's
Well,
all we're trying to do.
You're protecting them from people exposing that you're using unethically manipulative techniques on your friends and neighbors.
what does that even mean?
I didn't say it. You're misquoting
What
me.
does it even mean, protecting people from themselves? Are you superior to them? Are you superior to us?
Man, you guys are really,
Going to these other groups.
you guys are so
Well,
belligerent. Is this fun for you?
Why can't we go talk with our neighbors?
To go into other groups, we feel like you've corralled us here so that other people can't listen to us explain the techniques you're using on them. And when we ask you to go into the other groups, you're not allowing us to do it.
Right. So that's kind of not what happened. You actually were.
And I don't know you, and I don't know Rena. I have lived in this town for 13 years, and I was excited to have new people participate in this process. I did assign you to small groups, and you.
We're just listening to other groups.
Sarah, you know exactly what you're doing. Don't even start. You organized this. I had a great conversation with John Kidda. We have lots of things in common. This is not
Sarah,
right what you're
should
doing,
close this
okay?
whole
And you
group
know
right
it.
now,
I can
and
tell
then
by your
I think
voice.
I'm going to ask you guys to leave Etienne and Matt because I don't think we're able to have a conversation with everybody else, unless you want to listen to the small group report outs. Welcome to stay and listen.
To go into the other groups. You said that we would be allowed to go to other groups, and now you're not allowing us to go into the other groups.
Hey,
Yeah, you really do stuff. You were invited initially. Yeah.
Well, now Delia, Sheila, and I had a wonderful conversation in the first meeting, and I identified what was going on. It was great. All the people that were in there, we had a great time. There was people I went to high school with. There was the new head of the Boys and Girls Club, who my brother does fishing for underprivileged kids with. It was absolutely great. But you can't manipulate the subjects and the outcome and expect me to sit back and let my friends and neighbors be manipulated and say nothing about it. That is not fair.
Okay, what we're
I
going to
think that you
do...
dismissed their.
To what? To what? Hide from them what you're doing? No. You have a responsibility to come clean.
I simply don't have as much power as you think I do.
Okay. So here's what we're doing.
No, you know what? The Rand Corporation and these think tanks
Okay, do that now.
absolutely know what we're doing.
By the time you do it. So we're at 6:46. And then I'm going to ask John to, Etienne and Matt, I'm going to ask you guys to leave. And if you want to continue this conversation, convene your own meeting, you're super welcome to do that. I think it's just, I think our meetings aren't aligned. The meeting we're trying to have is different from the meeting you're wishing it was. So we're going to ask you guys to leave. And then if you can pull everybody back in, Sarah, because I think there's a lot we want to get out of this tonight.
Look, guys, I'm not angry at all with you guys. I just... Well, that was interesting. We'll see how many people want to listen to that ridiculousness. But, welcome to Small Town America.
Cool. Thank you. Ray, how about you? Oh, you're on mute. Still on mute.
Okay, how about that?
Perfect.
Okay, so I was paired with Mike.
Okay. And what did you guys, either of you can talk.
Well, Mike, did you...
I'm logged back in the third time I've been kicked out.
Oh, okay. So we were just basically wanted to really capitalize on all this engagement with the city. You know, its involvement is probably, you know, the most it's been, and you know, we talked about, you know, things up, you know, making it more accessible to everybody, but basically just keep the momentum rolling with the people's involvement in the community.
Great. Thanks a lot. Carrie, how about for you?
Hi. So in my group, we first acknowledge that we are free to talk about whatever we want. There are many things that we are proud of. There are other things that we want to work on. We decided to focus more on the things that we wanted to work on. We want to acknowledge that Vergennes is more than Main Street and the walkable neighborhood that surrounds it. We want to think about how we can include more of the people who live in our city. And we want to acknowledge that it might take a while for us to get to a point where we are truly more inclusive of everyone who lives in this city. And we have to accept that it'll take a little while, and probably we will be in a place of discomfort for some time to come.
Sure, that makes sense. Carrie, did you co-facilitate with anybody, or were you
Did
alone? Okay, great, thanks. John, how about for you?
For John Strout?
I did that again. John Strout, yes. There are two
Okay,
Johns,
good.
I keep forgetting. Good.
All right, good. Thank you. I'm so glad, so grateful to be able to meet some neighbors and talk with them. So it kind of came up that we talked about some schools and some pretty interesting things about how great people, like when people are asked, they show up. That's pretty awesome. So there's something really to build on there. When we ask one another to show up, we do, to help and to build with one another, and that's pretty cool. But there was one. It was related to mentorship, but not really about mentorship. Something along the lines of if we have some differing groups of and they're kind of divided in generational times, and there's older and middler and maybe some younger ones, especially these younger folks coming out of high school. How can we be intentional about finding some ways for these mixture of generational groups to be together in some way? So that's us.
Interesting. Right, awesome. Thanks. And how about the other John? Oh, and John Stroop, were you with anybody?
I did not.
You're not. Okay. And other John, were you partnered or alone?
I was with Tim.
Okay.
We talked about a few different things. I think we ended up landing on something pretty similar to the second group, which was just to plan something intentional, like a community task, to leverage the engagement rather than around like kind of having people engage around drama. So, yeah.
John was gonna.
I'm pretty close.
Okay.
I actually have the question typed in. I had to redo it. So.
Okay. John was going to make us a poll of those ideas. Let me explain what he's doing, and then you can see. So what John tried to capture the different ideas that each of you said, and we just want to do a poll to see which ones have the most energy. But this is essentially a completely non-binding poll. You don't have to. Once we see what people are excited about, doesn't mean you have to work on that in your second small group setting. It's just to sort of see where the excitement level is in the group. And then once you're back in your small groups, you'll be in the same group with the same facilitator. I see we have some young citizens with us. That's fun. Thanks. Love to see children joining. Once you're back in the small group with your facilitator, the idea will be for you to choose one action that you're particularly excited about and see how you might give it some legs. Just think about what might be a way to make it happen. So we didn't ever do poll one, did we?
No.
Yep.
Oh, here we go. I got it.
Okay. Here we go.
So
and you want people to just choose one, right?
yeah, and this is just kind of like ballpark where folks are feeling that they'd like to put some energy into. I maybe didn't capture ideas perfectly, but this is completely there's no commitment, as Liz
Yeah.
said, and we'll go back into the small groups to kind of see what folks want to work on and take some steps.
Great. This is just sort of a chance to dig a little bit into what the ideas that everybody came up with. I know people are very into planning a pleasant afternoon. Today was the day for that.
Delia, kicked out for a second there. Did you talk about what we talked about in our group?
No, because we didn't talk about any of the ways we want to have conversations in Vergennes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have like 60% of the people who have responded. It's coming up now. So the one bummer about this is that you can't see it in real time, but once I end it, I'll share the results with everybody.
Oh,
Basically,
that's good. Yeah.
Pretty distributed, but most people are going for a pleasant afternoon.
I think a lot of us just want a pleasant afternoon. So we're at 75%. So if you haven't voted, maybe use the next 10 seconds.
It's still coming in pretty.
Okay.
I'll do, 10 more seconds.
Okay, I'll do a countdown. 9, 8. Counting in my head.
We're good. I mean,
and go. Okay. Thanks a lot. And interesting to see that even though the pleasant afternoon does have a lot of energy behind it, so do all the ideas. So there's a lot of energy. And again, you know, as John's caveat was, he's not sure he captured these exactly as you said them, but there are a lot of good options for shifting the tone of the conversation in Vergennes and engaging people in positive conversation with one another. So what we're going to do now is go back into your small groups. It'll be your same small group with your same facilitator. And this time you can use any one of these ideas that you see, whether your group thought of it or not, or any idea that your group thought of before, even if it's not the one you shared. So whatever feels like something you'd like to focus on. The main point is think about something that you might be willing to put time into. So we're not trying to come up with ideas for the city council to do or anybody else to do. We want to come up with ideas that a group of neighbors could get together and make happen. So it's not a commitment to do it, but something that you feel as though is the kind of thing you might want to work on. And then we'll come back together as a full group and we'll get to hear what people are up to.
Do you want to put those ideas in the chat so that we all can remember them? Or?
Oh, sure. I think I just closed your poll, John. Is it possible for you to put those in the chat?
Maybe.
Let's see. Oh, we can't though. The chat won't follow you into the small group. So
it will.
The full room chat will? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay then.
All right.
And so, but no obligation to use any of these ideas. Just use whatever feels like the energy in your small group. So, good. And John, are we ready to put people in small groups?
I think so.
I just got kicked out again. Let's log in again. Maybe they'll figure out how to manage their technology so that they can be truly exclusive because they got some holes in it. This is okay, so they've locked it. We've tried several times to get back in, and they've now locked it to this. If you're part of the same organization, sign in, so they must have a way to get rid of the general password. Anyway, my friends and neighbors are locked in a manipulation session, and I wished I could at least let them know. So we'll do that from the outside. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Oh, now we have a screenshot where they thanked me for joining the meeting even though they kicked me out. Isn't that wonderful? Let's see if we can do anything about that. Oh, so this is a message to the waiting room. And they kicked me out again.